So let's have a think about what those digital marketing levers are. Well, there is a picture that I've made available to you called the digital ecosystem, and this contains a list of probably all of the sort of current and popular digital communication methods. Now, each one of these items probably represents a lecture or a lecture series on their own. So it's important that you go and have a look at these sort of things and see what the capabilities of each of these tools are. Okay, so let's have a look at the profiles of some existing digital media types. If we start off with some particularly obvious ones, things like websites and personalised websites, the great thing about them is that they can communicate really rich detail, and people can navigate around them at their will. So as a piece of advertising, they're quite interactive. You can actually track people around them, and depending on how personalised it is, you can actually give them the kind of content they want. The downside is that can have a very narrow reach. It might only meet the people who actually get to the website. So customers who don't actually get there don't actually take advantage of that information. Banner ads are very common. They've been around for 12, 13 years now. And one of the things that they can do is link you directly to the buying opportunity. So someone clicks on the banner ad and they go straight to the piece of information that you want to give them. That means that anyone who sees the site that the banner ad is on will in theory see the actual banner itself, so it can have a potential for quite wide reach. You can also target them quite effectively using particular advertising networks, so that you can make sure that the advert turns up on just the right kind of website. The downside is that banner ads have very, very low attention spans. People don't like them anymore, they tend not to click on them, they've got very low click-through rates. They tend to be rather annoying, they can cause a lot of clutter on web pages. And on the whole, really, if someone is just looking at a web page to get to another web page, it might not register, so you may be paying for an advert that people are actually not seeing. Interstitials are pages in between pages, and you often see these on American websites where there is free content on offer. So you have to click on the next page to see the next piece of content, and before you see that page, you actually get an advert for a product. That can be quite annoying. And at the same time, it's not really engaging people. People often just click to get past it as soon as they can. If you add rich media to both of sort of banner ads and interstitials, then it's a great way to generate attention. And actually, you'll find that most banner ads now are rich in some form or another. Historically, that could be a problem for people who had very narrow band access. They don't take a long time to download now, but they still can annoy users, and some people find them irritating and distracting. Dynamic ads are those that are placed there for specific reasons. So if you're a registered user of a website and you click on a certain page, the people know who you are, and they can serve up an advert that's dedicated to you. That's quite a good idea. It means that the advert that you get is one that's perhaps relevant to the person who's receiving it. The downside is that other advertisers may find that they're not getting the kind of space in the person being advertised to. So you can irritate other advertisers, and it's very hard to do it correct. There are a lot of examples where people have attempted to do dynamic placing of adverts, and actually what you get is very strange reasons as to why someone was served up with an ad. Search engine as a digital marketing communication lever is probably one of the most important that we'll ever come across. Search engines have credibility, they're believable, people believe the results and are tempted to click on the results that are there. You can talk about the relevance of your position on Google. It lends credibility to your role, and it's really important that you're able to make yourself visible on all of the search engines where you think your audience are going to be. But it's very, very hard to be number one on Google. People will not really look beyond the first few pages, so to actually find yourself in the right place without the most appropriate of search engine marketing is a really, really difficult job to do, and it's very easy to get it wrong. Classifieds and listings based advertising is kind of fairly rare in Europe, with quite big money in America, things like Craigslist. They're quite sort of cheap sort of networks on which sort of old-fashioned classified adverts can take place on. You can actually qualify the audience in advance. You know exactly the kind of people who are going to be looking there, but you might find that your advert is in amongst thousands of other adverts, and it might be difficult for your advert to be found. Opt-in emails are good. It means that you've identified who the person who's going to receive the email is. It means you can select people carefully on things like segmentation characteristics. There are high click-through rates that come from opt-in emails. People want to receive that email, therefore they're more likely to act on the messages that are in there. It's relatively inexpensive, and people actually tend to pass on emails that they find interesting in a viral sort of way. In order to make an opt-in email work, you've got to have a lot of users. You've got to have a lot of people who are actually going to be on your email list. And at the end of the day, your advert inside an email may get lost within the email, but it also may get lost amongst all the other emails that your users are going to see. A mass email, probably a bit of a problem. It's spam, to be honest. You might reach a lot of people. It might be very cheap. It might be very flexible. You might be able to change lots of things in it, but on the whole, people do resent emails that they have not asked for, and they resent them even more if they've asked not to receive them. And so you've got to think carefully about the reputation of your business. So these are quite interesting and important things to think of, and yet the number of things that you'll see as levers changes every day. If you look at the picture, you'll notice there are a variety of different approaches to communicating with people, and you should have a look at those. The next thing I want to think of is look at some digital media terms which are worth knowing about, and you'll see these used in a number of publications, particularly trade journals. The first word is ad clicks, and what an ad click is the number of users who've clicked on a banner, and that's quite important if you want to measure how effective the banner is compared to the number of times it's been seen. The number of times it's been seen is the impressions, and impressions is the time it's downloaded with a web page so that someone can see it through their browser. The click-through rate is the percentage of ads that have actually been clicked on, and click-through rate applies to banner ads as well as the kind of adverts that you see on the side of the Google searches. Cost per click is the amount of money that's paid by an advertiser to an internet publisher, and that's based on the click-through. So you might find that you're paying 2 pence per click, and if you've had 1,000 people click on your ad, you can work out how much you would have to pay the advertiser. CPM is a word to describe the cost per 1,000 impressions, and it's from an old sort of paper publishing terminology, the M being the Latin for 1,000. So for example, if you've paid £10,000 for a banner, 500,000 guaranteed impressions from your publisher, you can work out what the cost per 1,000 impressions is. Then there are some terms that are worth knowing because they can be quite confusing. The first term is hit, and people often talk about hits on websites. A hit is an individual file that's downloaded from a server to a browser. So an image is an individual file, an individual object on a page, that's also a hit as well. So web pages might be made up of 40 or 50 hits as each file is downloaded. If you look at the size of a Facebook page, you'll notice it's made up of nearly 100 hits because of all of the different things that have to come through there. So when someone says their site's getting 100,000 hits a day, they're not getting 100,000 unique visitors. That's merely telling you how many individual files are being downloaded from the server. What you really are interested in is things like unique users, and that's a number that tells you, how many individual people have actually visited your site, and this is again through doing things like dropping cookies down onto people's computers, so you can identify an individual computer and its user at any one time. A visit is a series of hits that are made by a unique user every time they visited a website. So you're looking for all of the hits generated by one unique user, and that constitutes a visit.